I got an inside source there at MDC, and if they knew who it was, they'd really plot. When people go into custody, they have anxiety, they're depressed, a lot of things go through their mind. And one of the things they do is they stop eating.
But now, Diddy hungry? Wee, wee. Apparently, he's missing his private chef. I hate when that happens, when you can't take your private chef, your celebrity chef, with you behind bars.
Mr. Combs is a fighter. He's going to fight this to the end. He's innocent. He came to New York to establish his innocence. He's not afraid. He's not afraid of the charges.
Y'all, things just keep getting worse for Diddy. Ever since his incarceration, rumors about his life behind bars have been swirling. And now, disturbing details about his daily routines are going viral. From claims of starvation to bizarre habits, people are wondering if the once powerful music mogul is crumbling under the pressure. Trust me, this story is as wild as it sounds. Let's get into it. Since his September arrest, Sean Diddy Combs has been facing charges of trafficking, racketeering conspiracy, and transportation to engage in prostitution. While the legal battles have captured headlines, the details about Diddy's life in jail are what have everyone talking. Far removed from his lavish lifestyle, the mogul now spends his days in Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center, where the living conditions have been described as horrific by his legal team.
And he is making outlandish requests. He wants a private chef. He wants a private nutritionist. He can only buy a sweatsuit and a pair of sneakers from the commissary. And he doesn't understand why he's being treated like he's being treated, and he's in solitary confinement.
Diddy's attorneys have repeatedly argued that the detention facility is unfit for someone of his status, citing subpar conditions and a monotonous daily routine. His lawyer, Mark Agnifilo, noted, "The food's probably the roughest part of it." But is the food really that bad? Or is this just another example of a celebrity struggling to adjust to life out of the spotlight? Let's talk about the menu that has everyone raising their eyebrows. Diddy's day starts early, with breakfast at 6 a.m. featuring cereal, fruit, and a breakfast cake. It's far from the gourmet spreads he's used to, but prison insiders reveal that these are standard options for inmates. The Federal Bureau of Prisons' national menu also includes oatmeal and toast on weekdays, with coffee being a weekend-only luxury. Lunch rolls around at 11 a.m., and Diddy gets to enjoy options like hamburgers, baked fish, or beef tacos. By dinner, which is served after the 4 p.m. head count, the choices range from chicken fajitas to pasta and roast beef. The facility also offers vegetarian and heart-healthy meals like lentils, tofu, and baked beans. Compared to the lavish feasts Diddy once hosted at his infamous white parties, this menu is a stark contrast, but it's not exactly starvation.
I think about how it got here, and how many people Diddy hurt and why he was allowed to get away with it for so long. And I can't help but think that a lot of what he was allowed to get away with is because it happened to black women.
Still, his legal team has emphasized that the meals are a significant adjustment for someone used to a life of extravagance. "It's a humbling experience," one source close to Diddy remarked. If you thought Diddy's daily meals were bleak, his recent birthday celebration was even more somber. The music mogul turned 55 in prison, a far cry from his iconic celebrations of the past. Gone are the days of spraying Cristal, dining on caviar, and partying with A-list celebrities. Instead, his birthday meal consisted of pasta with marinara sauce, meatballs, and a garden salad for lunch, followed by chicken or tofu fried rice with black beans and carrots for dinner.
Sean Diddy Combs is celebrating another year around the sun while behind bars. The disgraced hip-hop mogul who just turned 55 will enjoy a birthday meal at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, New York. According to the Post, the rapper's special day will start with breakfast items like cereal, fruit, and a breakfast cake.
For a man who once defined opulence, this subdued celebration marks a dramatic fall from grace. Social media couldn't help but point out the irony, with fans commenting on how Diddy's current situation contrasts with the lavish lifestyle he once flaunted. Some even joked that this birthday might be the most down-to-earth celebration of his life. Even from the early days following his arrest, Sean Diddy Combs reportedly struggled with paranoia that significantly impacted his ability to adjust to life behind bars. Sources indicate that shortly after being taken into custody, Diddy became consumed with the fear that someone might try to harm him, particularly through poisoning his food. This fear reportedly grew as he realized the number of people, both inside and outside the prison system, who might hold grudges or secrets worth silencing.
But we are also hearing that he is so self-centered he thinks he may be poisoned behind bars.
Former inmate Larry Levine, who served time at the same Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, where Diddy is held, claimed that paranoia of this kind isn't uncommon for high-profile prisoners. However, in Diddy's case, it seems particularly intense. Levine suggested that Diddy's fear wasn't entirely unwarranted, noting the possibility of someone bribing a correctional officer to tamper with his food. If someone paid an officer to poison his meal, it could easily happen, Levine explained, painting a chilling picture of the vulnerabilities celebrities face in custody. The mogul's fear reportedly caused him to refuse meals during his initial days in prison, leaving him physically weakened and mentally distressed. Prison food, known for being unappetizing and often served cold in isolation units, did little to help the situation. Levine added that the meals Diddy received in solitary confinement were likely subpar, consisting of bland carbohydrates and even, at times, moldy ingredients. Combined with Diddy's paranoia, this only further fueled his reluctance to eat. Adding to the pressure, Diddy was placed on suicide watch during this period, which meant round-the-clock monitoring by mental health professionals. Reports claim he received multiple daily visits from psychiatrists and dietitians, along with a rare religious consultation, as prison officials tried to stabilize his condition. Despite these measures, the mogul was described as really scared and unsure of who he could trust. Diddy's fears may also stem from the staggering nature of the allegations against him and the potential enemies they've created. Prosecutors have accused him of coercion, blackmail, and involvement in the freak-off parties that reportedly involved high-profile individuals. With such explosive charges, the stakes for those implicated are high, and Diddy likely feels the weight of being at the center of this scandal.
Now imagine if somebody got to one of the correctional officers, and this could happen. They don't make a lot of money. And there's people out there that he has things on that do have a substantial amount of money. Imagine if someone paid someone off on the inside.
Larry Levine speculated that Diddy's refusal to eat could be a result of both physical illness from poor quality meals and psychological distress. It's not unusual for inmates to protest the food, Levine noted, but in Diddy's case, it's tied to deeper fears of being targeted. Levine also highlighted how correctional officers, who don't earn significant salaries, could theoretically be bribed by someone outside the prison with the resources and motive to harm Diddy. Diddy's legal team has been vocal about the conditions of his incarceration. The food's probably the roughest part of it, Agnifilo reiterated, emphasizing that adjusting to prison life has been a significant challenge for his client. During a recent court appearance, Diddy appeared stoic, dressed in tan prison attire, as his attorneys worked to prepare his defense. Prosecutors, however, remain focused on the evidence, describing the volume of data extracted from his seized devices as extraordinary. They've hinted at the possibility of bringing additional charges as the investigation continues, leaving Diddy's legal team scrambling to keep up. And now, in a surprising twist, it seems the very inmates Sean Diddy Combs was once paranoid about have taken a different approach, cozying up to the music mogul instead. Despite Diddy's initial fears of being poisoned and his refusal to eat, reports suggest he's become somewhat of a prison celebrity. Inmates are reportedly vying for his attention and even competing to cater to his needs. Journalist and author Toure recently shed light on this unusual dynamic, revealing that Diddy's presence in Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center has created a sort of groupie culture among his fellow detainees. Some inmates are reportedly going out of their way to perform small gestures for him, like making his bed or running minor errands. Surprisingly, these acts of kindness have even sparked jealousy among others who also want to be in Diddy's favor. Unlike traditional jail cells, Diddy is being housed in a dormitory setting with about 20 other inmates. According to insider reports shared by journalist Lisa Evers, this section of the jail is far from dangerous. In fact, it's described as a relatively chill area where inmates with high-profile cases are held. While the accommodations are a stark contrast to his multi-million-dollar mansions, Diddy appears to be adapting, perhaps aided by the unique treatment he's receiving from some of his peers. The insider also claimed that Diddy maintains a positive attitude, reportedly telling his fellow inmates to smile and trying to keep the atmosphere light. While it might not compare to the luxury he's accustomed to, Diddy seems to have carved out a niche for himself, even in the confines of his detention. Of course, the situation raises eyebrows. Is Diddy genuinely earning goodwill? Or could his influence and wealth still be playing a role? even behind bars. Prosecutors have accused him of attempting to obstruct justice, alleging that he has reached out to potential witnesses and victims from his position in jail. They claim that Diddy has repeatedly flouted rules to sway public opinion and influence the outcome of his case. The defendant has shown repeatedly, even while in custody, that he will flagrantly and repeatedly flout rules in order to improperly impact the outcome of his case, prosecutors stated. They also allege that he has made relentless efforts to contact potential witnesses, including victims who could testify against him. In a shocking twist, Diddy's legal team is now accusing the feds of tampering with the very footage that initially got him into this mess. According to his attorneys, the infamous 2016 hotel surveillance video, showing him allegedly attacking Cassie Ventura, has been edited to make him look worse than he claims it actually was. They're saying that federal prosecutors deliberately cut and manipulated the footage to present Diddy as more dangerous and obstructive, all to ensure he remains behind bars. The original footage, as seen in the media, allegedly shows Diddy grabbing, kicking, and dragging Cassie down a hotel hallway in what looks like a violent confrontation. But Diddy's lawyers are calling foul, arguing that the government is withholding a more complete version of the video. They claim this full footage paints a very different story, describing it as a domestic dispute, rather than evidence of coercion or violence. According to their narrative, Diddy was simply recovering his clothes and cell phone after a disagreement, not engaging in anything criminal. The legal team also denies key moments from the video, like Diddy dragging Cassie or throwing a vase at her, even though those moments seem clear in the edited version we've all seen. They've even gone as far as to call the video a calculated move by prosecutors to create powerful evidence of danger and block his chances at bail. For weeks, Diddy's camp has been pushing this narrative, insisting the clip shows nothing tied to trafficking or the so-called freak-offs, framing it instead as a misunderstanding in what they call a complex but consensual relationship. As the trial date looms, public opinion remains sharply divided. While some view Diddy's plight as a cautionary tale of hubris, others see it as an example of the criminal justice system targeting high-profile black men. His fans argue that he's being subjected to a smear campaign, while critics believe he's finally facing accountability for years of alleged misconduct. With his trial set for May 2025, one thing is certain: Diddy's time behind bars is far from over, and the road ahead will be anything but smooth. The mogul who once dominated the music industry now finds himself navigating an entirely different kind of stage, the courtroom. So, what do you think about all this? Is Diddy's paranoia about being poisoned a legitimate concern, or is it just another layer of his dramatic fall from grace? And what's up with the inmates cozying up to him? Are they genuinely drawn to his charisma, or is there more going on behind the scenes? Most importantly, do you think his actions behind bars are helping or hurting his case as the trial looms closer? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, because this story is far from over. And don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel for more juicy updates. Up next, we dive into Diddy's alleged role in the untimely passing of pop star sensation Aaron Carter. Trust me, you won't want to miss this one.
But as you know, as I'm glued to the TV, and you know, I'm trying to figure out like just what's even going on, like how is this happening? And sometimes it's like, you know, I gotta turn the TV off because it's like it's so overwhelming.
The first night that he was there, he was like an overnight guest. When they pulled his bond hearing, now they checked him into the system, and reality has hit him. And I understand that he has a shrink coming by his cell to see him several times a day. And now there's talk about putting him in, it's like a bubble. It's like a cell that has like a plexiglass wall in it where they have inmates watching you. That's actually their job.
What happens when a music mogul who once basked in luxury finds himself trapped behind bars? Diddy, the man who ruled the hip-hop scene, is now facing the harsh realities of prison life. With each passing day, the stark contrast between his former opulence and his current grim existence grows more apparent. From isolation in a colorless cell to the threat of violence lurking around every corner, Diddy's world has turned into a living nightmare. Once celebrated and glorified, Diddy isn't feeling like he's on top of the world anymore. In fact, he's down in the gutter, and it seems as if he's not going anywhere anytime soon. Diddy is confined in a stark, colorless cell at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, New York. Arrested on September 16th and facing serious allegations of sex trafficking and racketeering, Diddy has denied all charges, pleading not guilty. His attorney, Mark Agnifilo, has raised grave concerns about the rapper's safety within the notoriously perilous walls of the facility. The food is inedible, from what I've been told, Agnifilo revealed shortly after Diddy was denied bail, warning, "It's violent. Someone like Mr. Combs might be a target for certain things. We can't let that happen." While the exact conditions at MDC remain unclear, accounts from former inmates paint a bleak picture of Diddy's current reality, starkly contrasting with his luxurious lifestyle in his $35 million, 8,000 square foot Miami mansion, where private security once shielded him from harm. "It's a terrible, horrible place," recounted an inmate who spent 3 months at MDC in 2019. "There's no air movement, and the food is slop."
It's terrible. The food is terrible. Of course, the inmates are terrible. The guards are terrible. The conditions are terrible. It's just terrible.
With an estimated fortune of $600 million, Diddy now finds himself enduring the humiliations of regular strip searches, limited access to showers, and minimal contact with the outside world, all while facing the constant threat of violence. Sam Mangle, a prison consultant, describes certain sections of the MDC as pure hell, calling it probably the worst federal detention center in the country. To make matters even worse, Diddy was initially placed on suicide watch. A former inmate shared that those in this situation are constantly monitored under glaring fluorescent lights and 24/7 camera surveillance. Strip searches are a routine part of life every time they leave their cells, and those considered a danger to themselves get issued rubber footwear and specialized eating utensils. Personal hygiene items, like toothbrushes, need special approval to access. However, reports indicate that Diddy has since been removed from suicide watch and transferred to protective custody, sharing quarters with notorious figures like convicted cryptocurrency fraudster Sam Bankman-Fried and high-profile sex offenders such as R. Kelly and Ghislaine Maxwell. An insider noted that this unit is for inmates who either request or require protection, with about 30 individuals crammed into small single-man cells. Life behind bars stands in stark contrast to the opulence Diddy once showcased on social media. His daily routine is governed by a strict schedule for meals, showers, which happen every other day, and laundry, all beginning at 6 a.m. Some sources reveal that the food leaves much to be desired. One former inmate described it as chili, shredded chicken with rice, and on Wednesdays, they serve murder burgers, a thin patty like shoe leather. Typical meals might consist of oatmeal and bran flakes for breakfast, a chicken patty sandwich for lunch, and Salisbury steak for dinner. After some time, inmates can buy items from the commissary, like tuna packets and snacks. A lawyer and professor who served time after a wrongful conviction remarked that everyone tries to get extra food, although access isn't available at first. Diddy is allowed to make phone calls, 300 minutes a month, and has limited email access, where his messages are monitored and restricted to text. Visiting hours are strictly controlled, with guests undergoing background checks. Once known for his high-end fashion, Diddy has been given 2 uniforms and meager supplies, including 3 pairs of socks and used undergarments. Regular strip searches have become a grim reality, with former inmates recounting the degrading process. The MDC has a reputation for violence, highlighted by the death of inmate Jamel Floyd in 2020 after officers pepper sprayed him, and the fatal injury suffered by Edwin Cordero during a July altercation. Cordero's lawyer described the MDC as an overcrowded, understaffed, and neglected federal jail that is hell on earth. Cordero's widow, Ashley, painted a disturbing picture of prison life, stating that it's disgusting and that no human being should live like that. She had a stark warning for Diddy. That prison is obviously not safe.
If it is true, as reported, that he is housed in the special housing unit, it's important to note that the special housing unit is a lockdown, 24-hour lockdown unit. The MDC Brooklyn is a high-rise. The vast majority of the floors are general population floors. But the special housing unit is a 24-hour lockdown facility. So this is for Mr. Combs' protection. His incredible worldwide celebrity combined with the allegations, the charges now, and indictment, of course, of acts of violence against women make him a very attractive target.
All right.
Obviously, they need to safeguard him.
A former inmate suggested that Diddy might navigate this harsh environment by befriending guards and fellow prisoners. If the guards take a liking to him, he could score extra food and more time outside his cell. However, another inmate cautioned that fame doesn't guarantee protection within those walls, noting that in prison, you automatically become a 5. Mongol echoed this, emphasizing the nature of Diddy's charges. It wouldn't be surprising if other inmates yelled and threatened him.
He can't go into a regular housing unit because somebody will take him out for sure. Somebody's gonna get a lot of street credibility out of this. People that are doing substantial time that know they're never getting out. They'll just kill the guy, no questions asked.
The community seems to think the same. Of course he is going to die in there. He's never getting out. The severity of Diddy's alleged crimes casts a long shadow over his time in confinement, as S offenders are often specifically targeted. An unsealed indictment from prosecutors reveals a pattern of abuse, detailing claims that he abused, threatened, and coerced women, using manipulative tactics to lure female victims into exploitative situations. Diddy's legal troubles are compounded by several civil lawsuits for SA and violence, with the 11th lawsuit filed on September 23rd. His ex, Cassie, was the first to file a claim, alleging abuse and coercion. While Diddy has denied these allegations, the case was settled within a day of filing. A source close to Cassie indicated that she feels a sense of relief with Diddy behind bars. The more stories that come out about him, the more validated she feels. She knows there's much more to be revealed, and it's frightening and dark for her. She finally feels she can close that chapter. Despite the gravity of the situation, Diddy has maintained his innocence. A spokesperson stated that Mr. Combs remains strong, healthy, and disciplined, fully committed to his defense. He hasn't had the chance to defend himself yet, and no claims have been proven in court. He's not going to get distracted by conspiracy theories or sensationalized narratives. Looking ahead, Diddy could face 15 years to life in prison if convicted. The potential sentence hinges heavily on whether he opts for a plea deal or heads to trial. Diddy's legal team is weighing their next steps, with Agnifilo asserting that he believes Diddy is innocent and will go to trial, and that he believes Diddy will win. The trial could take 6 months to a year to unfold. Diddy's next court appearance looms on October 9th as the weight of his new reality bears down on him. It's clear he's facing the hardest times in the toughest place, and his life will never be the same. But how did we get here? What did he do in order to have the entire country flip on him and make Diddy basically public enemy number 1? Diddy is currently engulfed in a web of serious accusations and legal turmoil. The gravity of the situation cannot be understated. He faces multiple federal charges, including racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking through force, fraud, or coercion, and transportation for prostitution. These allegations span from 2008 to the present, as stated by the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York. Prosecutors contend that Diddy orchestrated a criminal enterprise characterized by the abuse, threats, and coercion of victims for exploitation. They allege that he wielded his business empire as a shield to facilitate a range of criminal activities, including forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice. Simply put, Diddy was a menace to society. The indictment refers to disturbing events labeled as freak-offs, where victims were allegedly administered illegal drugs to maintain compliance. Disturbingly, these sessions were often recorded without the victim's consent, and the recordings were subsequently used as leverage to silence them. An attorney preparing to file lawsuits against Diddy on behalf of 120 alleged victims of SA revealed that a hotline established to manage incoming cases has been overwhelmed. receiving an astonishing 12,000 calls within just 24 hours. Tony Busby, a Texas-based lawyer, launched the hotline after announcing a new wave of accusers, including one individual who was only 9 years old at the time, who intend to sue the troubled music mogul for alleged SA and exploitation.
We talk about the ages of the victims when the conduct occurred. It's shocking. Our youngest victim at the time of the occurrence was 9 years old. We have an individual who was 14 years old. We have one who was 15.
This initiative comes in response to the rising tide of allegations against Diddy, which have intensified since his arrest. Busby noted that the hotline has been inundated with calls from individuals making similar allegations against Diddy, emphasizing the enormity of the task ahead. The sheer volume of responses indicates the widespread nature of the claims against the music mogul, suggesting a much larger pattern of alleged abuse. The attorney described the challenge as a Herculean task, as his team works to sift through every call to accurately identify victims from witnesses and gather compelling evidence. Currently, over 100 individuals have come forward to accuse Diddy of SA, reflecting the depth of the alleged misconduct. Busby indicated that his team, which has grown to nearly 100 people, is diligently working to validate the claims of any additional alleged victims beyond the 120 already identified. They are taking care to ensure that each case is airtight before proceeding with any legal action. The 120 claims announced by Busby are those the team could file against Diddy immediately, but they aim to ensure that every potentially liable party is included in their filings. The hotline announcement followed a press conference where Busby disclosed that the latest wave of complaints is evenly distributed by gender, spans 3 decades, and involves 25 minors, one as young as 9 years old. These children were allegedly lured by the promise of stardom in television or music, raising disturbing questions about the predatory nature of the environment surrounding the music industry. Busby has asserted that the alleged assaults will implicate many powerful individuals and expose numerous dirty secrets that have long been concealed. This suggests that the ramifications of these allegations could extend beyond Diddy himself, potentially implicating others in the industry who may have turned a blind eye to the misconduct. Most of the new lawsuits are anticipated to be filed in New York and Los Angeles within the next month. The urgency of these filings underscores the seriousness with which Busby and his team are approaching the situation, aiming to bring justice to those who have suffered in silence for far too long. The tide is rising against Diddy. The accusations against him just keep piling up, especially after his arrest on trafficking charges in New York late last month. The federal indictment unsealed at that time outlined deeply troubling allegations that Diddy manipulated women and subjected them to drugs to participate in his sickening freak-offs. The gravity of these charges looms large over Diddy, who now faces a reckoning that could redefine his legacy and expose the dark underbelly of an industry that has long been shrouded in secrecy.
This is some of the stuff that's going to be revealed, and these are nothing. These are just signs, right? Mm-hmm. But if anything leaks with celebrity names that all of a sudden comes out, it's going to break the internet.
You know. As Diddy faces the stark realities of life behind bars, it's hard to ignore the drastic shift from his lavish lifestyle to the grim conditions of the MDC. With the weight of serious allegations hanging over him and a potentially lengthy sentence on the horizon, the question remains: how will he navigate this treacherous environment? As stories continue to surface, it's clear that Diddy's journey through the justice system is far from over. What do you think about his current situation? Could fame offer him any protection? Or is he facing the same fate as other inmates? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to check out our next video for more insights on this unfolding story.